Konnichiwa minna. If you've heard about Sony PlayStation 5's recent news, you may have heard about an interesting new feature which Sony will bring to the PlayStation 5. Have you ever been stuck on a boss battle that just doesn't seem to end? Or have you ever played an RPG and you can't seem to make your way out of that town or village and you're just stuck and you don't know what the next steps are? That is me. If you can relate and you're sitting there like, yes, Rose, this is me. This is totally me on every boss battle ever in existence, especially Emerald and Ruby Weapon in FF7, then fear not, because Sony has actually patented a new idea for Sony PlayStation 5, which will now allow gamers to ask Sony PlayStation 5 for the answer in-game. So next time you're stuck on the PlayStation 5 playing Outriders or maybe Final Fantasy 7 episode 2, 3 or God knows whichever episode and you're stuck on a particular part in the game, for a small fee Sony will be able to give you the answer to whichever part you're stuck on in-game, allowing you to get past it. I think this is amazing news because now we can all beat Sephiroth in Kingdom Hearts. Or Ruby Weapon in FF7. I mean, the possibilities are basically endless. So I, for one, am super happy. Guess who just announced that PS5 will be totally backwards compatible, like all gen games backwards compatible? Guess who announced it? It wasn't Sony. No, it wasn't Sony, which just shocked the crap out of me. It was actually the CEO of Ubisoft, who basically leaked this information in an interview. He just dropped the bomb. Like, Sony was there like, we must conceal this information. Microsoft was there like, we don't want the world to know what's happening. And then this Ubisoft CEO just comes along and he's like, so yeah, basically the next gen consoles, you know, those ones by Sony and Microsoft, they're going to be backwards compatible. Well, here's the statement from him. In a question regarding the PS5 and Xbox new console, he said, those consoles will be running almost all the back catalogue of the previous consoles. It will be something new in the industry. It will help the old generations to continue to be big consoles on the market for years to come. I do feel a tiny bit salty that Sony wasn't able to announce this and this Ubisoft CEO just came and stole their thunder a little bit. But at the same time, I'm like, good job, CEO. At least now we know. And the only problem I have is that all my old games are basically UK specific, so unless they can overcome the region thing for me, hey, that might work for me too. It's no secret that Sony has already launched its PlayStation 5 webpage, and if you've been on it like I have a couple of hundred times because I'm excited, then you'll have seen that it says that the Sony PlayStation 5 will be coming soon in holiday 2020. However, the coronavirus might actually affect that date, and it could be possibly delayed. I'm sure you've all heard of the coronavirus outbreak by now. And yes, it's a pretty deadly issue. Countries are affected and businesses are affected. And as such, both are trying their best to contain this virus as much as possible. Sony is no exception. Because of the coronavirus, Sony has actually had to pull out of a mobile phone event that they were due to go to. And this could spell bad news for Sony PlayStation 5. It may mean that production in China could be delayed or affected due to the outbreak, meaning that the Sony PlayStation 5 may come later than holiday 2020. It's pretty sad news, but at the same time, I feel really bad for those affected by the virus and all of those in China that are having to suffer this and actually having to live and work through this. So, I mean, while I hope that Sony's production isn't affected, more than anything, I just hope that the families that are affected will overcome it. On to lighter news, Nintendo has recently been throwing shade at Sony and Microsoft. I love Nintendo. They're such rebels in the cutest way possible. Like, they have Kirby. What's cuter than Kirby? Seriously? Seriously. If you heard, Nintendo actually released a statement like the shadiest people on the planet ever. In an article from Games Radar, we see a statement from Nintendo's president, and this is what he has to say. We believe that the position of Nintendo Switch in its life cycle is different from that of hardware from other companies, and that the consumers of our products are also different, Nintendo President Shuntaro Furukawa said. Therefore, we do not believe that the business activities of other companies will be especially influential on Nintendo's business. Oh! Like, I read this and I was like, I see that shade. I see that shade and all that salt you just sprinkled all over the place. I actually really love this statement because Nintendo really is unique in the market. I mean, Nintendo is this cute little console that basically appeals to everybody and anybody. I mean, I've heard people say that their grandmothers play the console, and that is very damn true. Families play the console. Kids and adults, everybody in between plays the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch is definitely unique in the market, and so I think President Shuntaro Furukawa was totally justified when he said this statement. Of course, I'm like, hey, stop throwing like salt and shade at Sony, okay? But at the same time, I feel like it's a unique stance in the market, and it's great to be very, very confident at this time with this new next-gen console war about to like pop up and looming in the distance. I think it's a brilliant way for Nintendo to kind of just turn around and be like, hey, you know what? This doesn't actually affect us as much as you guys think, so nah, we ain't actually worried, bruh. That's it from me on this latest PS5 news update. And I guess, guys, if you're wondering what my favourite part of news was out of all of this update, it's gotta be that little tiny shade that Nintendo threw at Sony, and then also that new patent idea which Sony has come up with for the PS5, allowing gamers to ask for hints in-game at a small fee. But you best believe I'm not going to be wasting any more money after I've paid for the PS5, because that shit's going to cost a whole kidney. Let me know in the comments below what your favourite piece of this update was, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Sign out!